You're listening to 91 Reasons, a journey into the twisted landscape of pop culture. Keep your hands and arms inside the podcast at all times. And now, the voice, Jeff Tucker.
What do you think of the new office? Isn't this great? This is my new office, my new recording studio, my car. No one ever leaves the house. No one ever goes anywhere at my house. There is always at least, out of my family of 5, there's always at least 47 people at the house. And there's nowhere to do 91 Reasons, the show. I used to have out back this place where I could go and do the show, but I turned it into a storage area so I could have the garage, because my kids' stuff was in the garage and it was filling up the garage. And I said, well, I'd like the garage to be this sanctuary during this COVID craziness. So let's move your stuff to what used to be the Cafe 80s is now the mini garage. And the garage is now a hangout. It's like I do all my eBay shipping there, and I have a TV set up so I can play video games. I got this amazing Raspberry Pi from Rob Alvey where it has, 3 million games on it, of which I play, I think, 6. I mostly sit and play either Dig Dug or Tron to relax. But even then, I can't really do a show out there, because if I go out there late at night, then it's freezing out there. There's no heat at all. So I can't do the show out there at night. And if I do it during the day with the door open and get the sun in, no one's ever going to give me 45 minutes to an hour uninterrupted to do the show. I've done a few video segments out there for the Tucker Time show, and somebody always comes out. There's always, you hear the door, bling, blang, and it's not their fault. That's just the reality of living 5 people in a house made for 3. There's just no privacy. Certainly no recording studio, no place to do the show. So I brought Rachel here today. She's in having the 7th or 8th procedure on her teeth. We've done the Tucker Time shows about it, and she's at the dentist right now. So I have maybe 45 minutes to do a show. I guarantee at some point I'll be trying to wrap this thing up, and she'll come knocking on the door ready to go. And again, not her fault. It's just the way it is. And I was going to record the show audio using the audio recorder I have on the phone, but I discovered when I transferred the Morrissey and Smith's episode from video to straight audio, it sounded so much better. It's weird, on the same phone, the video recorder records better audio than just the straight audio recorder. How does that work? How can that be a thing? And yet it is. So, I had a couple of things I want to talk about on the show today. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks to all of my Patreon supporters. I normally go on Facebook and thank everyone profusely. I have not been on Facebook in a week. I don't dig fighting with people. I'm just not into it. In my mind, I know exactly the right thing to say to destroy your argument. But I don't want to do that. I don't want to be that kind of person. So the person that Facebook thinks I want to be with all of this hostility, I refuse to participate. So I have not been on eBay. I have not been on Facebook in a week, just minimally, not to post anything. I responded to one question because they directly tagged me in a post. It was about theme park stuff, and I'm happy to help out in that respect. But I'm not into arguing with anybody, and certainly not about my children, because the argument that I was in on the night before, I decided, look, I got to take a break. Before I respond to any of these arguments, I'm just going to take a break. The argument was about my kids, and I'm like a mom bear. You don't come between a grizzly bear and her cubs, and that would make me a female bear. And I will gladly take that title. But I've not been on Facebook at all. And you know what? I'm a lot happier because of it, a lot calmer, because Facebook is just arguing all freaking day. That's all people do on it. And hey, if that's your thing, if you love to get up and go, man, I can't wait to stir the pot and see how the pot's been stirred while I've been gone and that's great. Rock and roll to you. I prefer not to engage. It's not for me. It's not my thing. This is more my thing. Talking to you, the person who doesn't talk back. And not that I want to live in an echo chamber. I love hearing both sides of an argument and then making up my mind. That's the way I've always operated. But this just antagonistic type of arguing where somebody says, hey, I like the color blue. What, you don't like red? Oh, red's not your color? What did red ever do to you? Like, I can't. You can have that party all day, man. Enjoy it. It's your party. Have it all day. But it ain't for me. I'd rather talk pop culture and have fun. So let's talk movies. I've been watching a lot of Half in the Bag, Red Letter Media. That's my favorite piece of entertainment right now, is just, a couple of guys, 3 or 4 sometimes, just talking about movies, having a good time. That's where I want to live, man. That you're just having a good time, It's the equivalent to me of what normal people drink beer and talk. I like to let's drink some pop culture, glug glug, and hash it out. And what movie what'd you think of that movie or that TV show or that streaming nonsense? So I have so many movies. So every once in a while, I'll just pluck one off the pile, take the plastic wrap off because they're all unopened, and watch a movie. So I watched a movie called Lucy. This is a movie by Luc Besson. Now, I love Luc Besson. He's a really stylistic visual director. I'm a fan of The Fifth Element. I saw Fifth Element opening day in the theater. I think Fifth Element's fantastic. Even with Chris Tucker's craziness, it doesn't derail the movie for me like it does a lot of people. Let me have my Starbucks. I knew I was going to be here a while. So, Luc Besson also did a movie called Unleashed. Most people have never seen it. It came out right around the same time as Attack of the Clones. And Attack of the Clones, and the double whammy of Attack of the Clones and then Spider-Man just destroyed any other movie that year. 2002 would belong to those two movies. But, 2002, you're talking about what? The Two Towers, not Harry Potter, but The Two Towers, and one of the Matrix sequels. Like big year for movies. And a lot of movies just got lost in the shuffle. And Unleashed is one of them. There's also a movie called Deuces Wild, I think it's called, that opened the same day as Attack of the Clones that nobody went and saw. But Unleashed, man, is so good. The trailer is so stupid. It's about a guy, Jet Li, who was raised as a dog by Bob Hoskins. So he is treated like a dog. And he is used by Bob Hoskins, who is a mob boss. He is used as an enforcer. So when Danny is wearing his collar, he is docile. And when Hoskin takes his collar off, he attacks whoever Hoskin tells him to attack. And you think, well, the movie's going to be this underworld, gritty crime movie. And yet it's not, because the 30-minute mark, boom, Hoskins gets mad at Danny because the boss, he tells Hoskins is threatening this guy. And he's like, "I'll tell you what, man. I'll take his collar off. He kills all your men, and you're going to give me the money," something like that, right? And the guy's like, "So," like he's tapping. "So, if I don't let you take his collar off, nothing bad will happen to me then." So they just beat Hoskins up while Danny stands there because he's conditioned to only act when the collar's off. It's great. So Hoskins like, "You let me get beat up while you just stood there." And you're like, well, this is what you did to the guy. You took him as a boy. You raised him as a dog. You made him into a attack dog. And then the 30-minute mark, Danny gets lost. There's a car wreck. And Danny gets lost in the city where he gets picked up by a young woman and her blind mentor, played by Morgan Freeman. So then there's this 45 minutes or to an hour sweet little movie of this kid who's been ravaged and turned into a killing machine, learning what it is to be human. And then, of course, the two stories collide. So I'm a fan of Luc Besson. I think the guy's great. He did The Messenger with the girl who played Lilu. What's her name? Mila Jovovich. And I think he married her. You know, he did what a lot of directors do. He fell in love with his leading lady. So when I heard about Lucy, and the plot of Lucy is Scarlett Johansson plays a drug mule who is going to carry this new drug on an airplane to another country to make a lot of money. And she does it under force. But something happens, and all of the drugs that she's carrying in her body get ingested. So she becomes more than she's supposed to be because it opens her mind. Boom. That's a great log line. That's a great 1 second. What's the movie about? Well, it's a drug mule who accidentally ingests this mega drug, and she becomes super powerful. That's great. I don't know what happened in this movie. I heard what the ending was, and I'm not going to tell you yet if you haven't seen it. I'm going to wait a few more minutes before I give it away. But I heard what it was and thought to myself, people must be misreading what the movie is. That's just ridiculous. Because I know there have been examples in the past where they go, oh, the movie's dumb, it ends this way. And I'm like, no, you're missing the ending. You know, in being there, Peter Sellers walks across water. It's not a stupid ending. It's a brilliant ending. There are a lot of movies with brilliant endings. Blazing Saddles ends with them leaving the movie set and running through the streets. Oh, I didn't understand the ending, man. And then, well, relax. But when people explain the ending to Lucy to me, I thought, I must be hearing it wrong, but it's true. It has a great setup, this movie. Scarlett Johansson is meeting a guy that she met at the club, the night before, and within like 5 minutes, he cons her into just simply taking a suitcase into a building to get money. He handcuffs her to the suitcase and tells her, go in there, ask for a certain guy, you'll get the money, you'll come, it's a 5-minute thing, you'll come right out. So when she goes in, she says the name and it's like all hell breaks loose and she's whisked in. It's the perfect setup to a movie like that because you're sympathetic towards her plight. She didn't ask for this. You're not quite certain what the problem is. Why isn't this drug deal as easy as the guy said it was going to be? And then it's all revealed that this is a super drug made from something to do with embryos, human embryos, and it's something to do with brain fluid, and it's supposed to, when you take it, you just woo, right? And she's one of like 10 mules that are all going under duress to take this drug on planes all over Europe and Asia and disseminate the drugs where it needs to go. And so we have a great setup to a movie. And then I don't know if it's bad editing or bad writing or both, but she wakes up and the drugs are inside her. They're not in a suitcase. They're in her stomach and they've been sewn in and she's got to take them, personally across. It's like Midnight Express. And the bad editing comes in where there's no tension of her in the airport. Are they going to catch her? Where is she going? How is she going to get out of this? How can she get the drugs out of her? How would you react to this kind of craziness being inflicted upon you? The viewer is empathetic, right? Boom. It cuts to her being hustled through some horrible gulag somewhere, being chained to a wall, and these guys beating the crap out of her. Why are they beating her? If they know the drugs are in her, why don't they just take the drugs out? And the movie goes on this upwards trajectory and just, now it's at the top of the roller coaster. And instead of a fun ride down, it just goes downhill after that. Not only does she ingest all the drugs and they have these horrible special effects. It looks like a toothpaste commercial or some sort of motor oil where it's running through the pipes of her body and, ooh, it's blue and it's sparkly. And she's like, whoa, I got all these powers. And unlike a movie like Limitless, where Bradley Cooper takes a super drug that gives him full access to all his brain power, and he uses it to outwit people. I mean, isn't that what the whole plot is you open up your brain and you can now access memories and make calculations. And you can get yourself out of scrapes in ways that normal people can't. And instead, this gives her super strength, super agility, and the ability to move things with her mind. It's never explained. They try to a little bit. They keep intercutting scenes of Morgan Freeman. I love Morgan Freeman. It's funny how, you ever notice how you can watch a movie with somebody in it, and then for the next few movies, you're like, that guy's in the movie. That guy's in the movie. I think I've watched 5 Morgan Freeman movies in the last few days, and I'm like, he's in Angel Has Fallen that I watched. He's in Lucy. He's in Magic on the Island, this movie I watched about, he plays an old writer in a wheelchair that it was such schlock, but man, I enjoyed it. He's in all these movies. Oh my God, Morgan Freeman. But they keep intercutting these shots of Morgan Freeman explaining how the brain works and how we only use this part. And you're like, is this just to educate the audience? Why are they showing this? It's like getting you know that scene in Jurassic Park where the cartoon tells you how dino DNA is extracted through the most rudimentary way possible? You know, the cartoon of the guy drilling. Hey, I get it. Whatever gets the point across the audience. But this just feels shoehorned in. And then suddenly they cut to him in the real world, not just a classroom setting where he's explaining things, but the real world where he's just living his life. And then she appears to him on his TV, on his computer monitor, on his phone. And she's like, you are the scientist who knows about the brain. I am coming to meet you. I can control your television. I can control your phone. I can control. And you're like, now she's the master control program. Like she's God because she sucked up all these drugs. So then the plot is she calls the police and tells them where all the other couriers were going with their drug shipments. And she's going to intercept all of those drugs so that she now has an unlimited supply of the new drug, the blue pill drug, the magic pill, the MacGuffin pill. And then she ends up taking this French guy hostage, the police chief. And the whole time, the bad guy from the beginning is hunting her. Now, why she didn't just kill him at the start, I don't know. There's a sequence where she stabs his hands while he's getting a manicure. And you think, like, and it cuts away and you're like, oh, she must have killed him. But then he shows up later in the movie as the heavy. And you're like, you gave every indication that guy was dead. How is he back? Nobody knows. So he's trying to get her, and she's trying to get all the drugs. And once she gets the drugs, now she has to get to Morgan Freeman. And there's a sequence where they're in a hallway, and it's like the Matrix. And, you know, you remember when Morpheus says, you know, Neo says, you mean I'll be able to dodge bullets? And Morpheus says, no, when the time comes, you won't have to. Meaning you'll just wipe the bullets away. And she reaches a point where she has that power. She just waves her hand. Everybody floats to the ceiling. The guns are gone. And there's no danger to her, except maybe the danger she can't see because some people are around the corner. But, like, that's your Achilles heel? If you don't see it, it's not there? I don't buy it because you just tapped into that guy's TV and his computer and his phone. So why wouldn't you tap into all the cell phones and the surveillance cameras, and you're getting all the information? Oh, I'm getting all the information. I know where everybody's at, like Cerebro. And instead, Bassan tries to eke out tension from the fact that they're going to get her. And you're like, well, how can they get her? If they shoot her, she can just stop the bullets. If they want to stab her, she can just make him float to the ceiling. She could take him outside and just float him in the air. Like, remember the Mandalorian did that with his jetpack. You can't set up a character like Lucy so powerful that, I don't think her name's even Lucy. Lucy refers to something else at the end I'll get to. But if you're going to set up a character that powerful, then the villain has to be even more powerful. And what I mean by that is Captain America and Iron Man are defeated because Thanos is more powerful. Thanos is more powerful than the Hulk, more powerful than Thor. And that's why when he shows up, you're nervous because he's just handed them all their asses. But this one, she's so powerful, nobody can stop her. Where's the danger? It becomes very pedestrian because there's no danger. That's why Matrix Reloaded is so boring, because you're like, why is Neo even fighting these guys? All he has to do is wave his hand and they're gone. And they go, he goes, upgrades. Really? That's it? Upgrades? They trail her all the way to Morgan Freeman, and Morgan Freeman is there with all these scientists, and they're like, she's coming. And the way to set up a villain worthy of this character is show the villain like in a room, like he's naked on his knees and he's doing this ceremony, and he holds up an even bigger bag of the blue pills and he just ingests them all, right? Or he distills them and they mainline in and his eyes go, whoa! And then he's like, then you've got two gods battling it out, like the end of Hancock. Bang, bang, right? He's just a mob boss. He's just a guy with a gun or a knife. He's no threat to her. She's already defeated him. And it's not like he took the time after defeat to get stronger and better. He just called in more troops. So she gets to Morgan Freeman, the police chief. It's just all silly. And if you think the movie's been silly up till this point, Luc Besson says, hold my blue pill, hold my beer. And, Lucy starts, or the character, I don't remember if her name is Lucy or not. It doesn't really matter, because Lucy refers to the oldest set of human primate bones ever found. And they named her Lucy, the Neanderthal, the missing link between apes and man, where we collided to form Homo sapiens, was Lucy. And so Scarlett Johansson ends up getting all the drugs, distilling them all, mainlining all of them, and like, whoa! Like when Bart drinks a squishy of just squishy, and she starts traveling through dimensions, through time and space, across the world, the universe, where she comes face to face with Lucy at the dawn of mankind. And I think you're supposed to be like in awe, like, oh my God, look, whoa, the cosmos. And instead, I went, they can't be serious. This movie can't be serious. They can't really expect us to eke out dramatic tension or awe from this. It's just stupid. And then it gets even dumber, because then she starts turning into black goo. I don't know what's happening. It looks like Akira. If you've ever seen the movie Akira, where he just is overloaded and starts turning into goo. So she starts turning into goo, and the bad guy's gonna get her. And right before he can stab her and kill her, because that's his plan. His plan is like Ray in Ghostbusters. Get her. Get her? That was your whole plan? Nice going, Ray. He's gonna get her. Before he can get her, she jets off across the universe in her non-corporeal form, in her mist-like superhuman state of using all her brain. And she's turning into black goo as she's visiting all these places around the world. Boom, 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 boom. And then she tells Morgan Freeman, I know the secrets to the universe. I know everything about every question we've ever had, every answer we've ever wanted. I have it right here, and I'm going to make it available to you. So what does she do? Does she like push her consciousness into a mist and then permeate him? Does she envelop him in an all-knowing aura? No. No, ladies and gentlemen. She does what people told me she did, and I didn't believe them, and yet she does it. She turns into a flash drive. I swear, if I was making this up, I wouldn't ever come up with something this stupid. She actually, all the black goo goes into a USB stick, which Freeman holds up. And it's just as the bad guy is stabbing her, and he's like, "Where'd she go?" And he's like, "She's here in a flash drive." And let me tell you, as someone who uses a lot of flash drives, I use flash drives for my books, the stuff I work on for work. I back up everything using multiple flash drives. I have 2 computers that don't talk to each other, so I'm constantly moving digital files, my episodes over, both audio and video, back and forth for editing. They don't hold that much. The most unbelievable thing in a movie about a drug mule who has magic drugs sewn into her and then gets kicked and then ingests the drugs and then finds more drugs and can make things float in the air and turns into black goo. The most unbelievable thing in this movie is that she has a flash drive that holds more than 32 gigs or 160 gigs. It just doesn't work. My flash drives corrupt about 3 months after I use them. At the 3-month mark, it tells me it's full, even though it's not full. I defrag it. Toast. I have to fling it and buy another one. That's just the way it works. And I have some that are characters that I can't bring myself to throw away. I have a little Darth Vader one that I love. I used to use that for all of my work. They all get corrupted. You can't save a flash drive forever. It doesn't work that way. I'm sitting there and the movie ends and I'm thinking, there's no after credit scene. There's no denouement, no resolution. She just turns into a flash drive and that's how the movie ends? Who greenlit this piece of crap? I've done episodes before where I've reminded people, movies are not accidents. Movies take an army of people getting up at 4 a.m. every day for months on end to make a movie. And then it has to be edited, scored, special effects, music, marketing, everything. And it all boils down to she turns into a flash drive. Nobody at any point said, Luke, fun movie, man. I'm having a great time making it, but she's going to turn into a flash drive? And the prop guy's like, he's smoking a cigarette. He's like, a what? A flash drive? Hey, it's a flash drive. The director wants a flash drive. What do you need it for, man? You going to put your files on it? No. Oh, wait. The main character is going to turn into the flash drive. Oh, is that it? Like, that really happened. And everybody's okay with it. And they released it. And you start, the foundations that you have of pop culture, of directors who make great movies and actors who deliver powerful performances. You're like, you all agreed to this? This is the movie you wanted to make? I'm flummoxed. I have no idea why this is a thing. One of the most baffling endings I've ever seen in a movie. Lucy. Dude, don't watch it. I'm not recommending it in any way. If you want to watch it, like, go on YouTube and type ending of Lucy and just watch her turn into a flash drive. It's the most ridiculous thing you've ever seen. And I've seen some turkeys. But, a movie like this has a pedigree. Scarlett Johansson makes really good choices in movies. She's had an excellent career. This must have been something where the director's just trying to explain it, and maybe she just wanted to work with Luc Besson. I mean, I know I would. Again, Fifth Element's a great movie. Fifth Element's an anomaly in science fiction movies. Fifth Element's an amazing movie where the hero and the villain have the same goal. And, to get the stones and activate the fifth element for whatever reason they need to do it for. And yet they are not aware of each other. They don't meet in the movie. There's no dialogue between them about, I'll get you, Corbin Dallas. There's none of that. They're not even aware the other one exists. That's a fun twist. Fifth Element's got a lot of really fun and imaginative moments in it. Lucy does not. I'm also watching WandaVision on Disney Plus. Let me tell you first thing, man, Disney Plus sucks. It hardly ever works. That little circle thing just keeps circling and circling. They should turn it into something fun. Like, remember back in the day when MySpace wouldn't work, they'd give you Pac-Man? Maybe Disney Plus needs a default, like, remote control game, because it just circles and circles. I have to open Disney Plus on my PS4, open it, and then go do something, and come back, and it might be there. A lot of times, the blocks come up, and they're empty. Like, I don't even know what I'm clicking on. So you have to click on something, it's not the right thing, you have to go back, and then maybe they start to appear, like the end of American Graffiti, where it goes, bum, ba-dum, bum, bum. But, it never works. So I've been, in order to avoid having to avoid anything online, and not just social media, but any kind of Yahoo homepage or anything, I've been staying up at midnight on Thursday to watch the new episode of WandaVision. And you know what? I'm not even enjoying it. I'm watching it out of sheer, there's nothing else new to watch. And I've been on a creative tear writing. So normally around midnight Thursday, I need a break, because I usually try to get 5 to 10 pages a day written, and I have been meeting those goals. So Thursday night at midnight, I'm like, okay, I'll just turn my brain off and watch WandaVision. And when I click on it at 12:01, the episode is there. The new episode is there, and it never works. Click it, I get some error. It's a generic error that I even looked it up on Google, like, what is this error? And it turned out that everybody else was getting the same error I was getting, and it means nothing. If you go online or try to contact them, they have no information how to fix the error. You know how you fix the error? Back, forward, back, forward. Click on the episode, error, go back. Click on the episode, error, go back. Click on the episode, oh, it works. And then it goes, previously on WandaVision. And you know what? Don't skip it, because if you skip it, you're going to get that error screen again. Disney Plus. The plus means error. I'm watching WandaVision because, you know, Josie is a big Marvel fan, and we watch them together sometimes. Sometimes I'll even watch the episode again with her, because she's not up at midnight because she has school the next day. But I've been watching them, and you know what? I don't get it. I just don't get the premise of this show. It's needlessly mysterious. It's like a J.J. Abrams, Damon Lindelof plot, where it's just mystery on mystery on mystery, and eventually, like, they might have some answers for us, or maybe they don't, the way Lost did. You know, we've been playing this mystery box with these guys, and I mean these guys total in entertainment, where they think that holding back information keeps you intrigued. No, what keeps us intrigued is holding information, then giving some answers. Holding a little more, giving a little more. Give, take, give, take. That's how you keep people interested. Not good luck finding out until episode 5. Why do I want to do that? I don't, actually. I actually don't. You have to propel the story forward in the episodes, or we're just treading water. And I grew up watching sitcoms, so I understand the sitcom genre. Like, I watched sitcoms religiously. I worshipped at the altar of Three's Company. You know, I wanted to go to the Regal Beagle. I personally have sat in the Keaton living room from Family Ties. You know, I watched a lot of sitcoms. I watched some sitcoms start to finish. I watched some that didn't quite make it. I watched The Cosby Show. I watched She's the Sheriff, Hail to the Chief, Carter Country, Bosom Buddies, Different Strokes, Silver Spoons, Family Ties, Night Court. I loved Night Court, like sitcom after sitcom after sitcom, until eventually couldn't watch them anymore. And I watched a bunch that, like, people don't watch, like It's a Living, We Got It Made, Jennifer Slept Here. Like, a lot of shows I watched. Alice, One Day at a Time. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Happy Days, Tony Loves Chachi, Mork and Mindy, Laverne and freaking Shirley. Watched them all. So I'm a fan of the sitcom. And then suddenly I wasn't. And you know what? I was never a fan of some of the older sitcoms. Like, I never watched the Dick Van Dyke Show. It just wasn't in my realm. I did watch a lot of I Love Lucy, but I'm not a mega fan. Like, it's just not my thing. And if it's your thing, hey, that's great. Not for me, but not basing a superhero show on it. So when the show starts, you're aware that it's some alternate reality because Vision is alive. And last time we saw the Vision, he's dead. Vision died. He was the one not brought back casualty of the Infinity War. You know, the jury's still out on Black Widow. But Vision's dead. The stone was taken from his head, and then the stone was crushed, and it was never returned. There was never any storyline where the stone was returned to Vision's head, so the Vision is dead. So we know we're in an alternate reality. The question is, are we in a reality of Wanda's making, or a reality of a supervillain who's doing this to Wanda so that she will give some information that somebody else needs? That's all well and good. No problem. That's a great setup. But we shouldn't have to wait till episode 4 to actually get confirmation of that. And even now, we still don't know what's going on. To some degree, we assume it's Wanda doing it. So the first 3 episodes they're just sitcom tropes. The boss coming over for dinner, the big this, the big that, Wanda's pregnant. They're moving through time periods. It's all mildly interesting. I did enjoy the episode where Monica gets thrown out and we see outside whatever the dome is. Then it becomes the Dome. Did you ever see Stephen King's Under the Dome? Like, it's very close to Under the Dome. We've seen a lot of these tropes before where someone's living in an alternate reality. Like, here, I'll give you an example. What am I describing? Our heroine is in love with her dream man, and she wants to live the rest of her days with him. But our dream man dies. And then our heroine is given a shot at bringing the dream man back into her life. But she knows that it's not really him. But she doesn't care because she loves him so much that she's willing to overlook the fact that it's not really him and live a life with him at the expense of everybody else until it one day falls apart around her and she has to face the truth that it's not really her dream man. That's the plot of WandaVision and the plot of Wonder Woman 1984. Two in a row with the same plot. So I don't know where it's going. There have been moments where I don't care, and that might be the ultimate damning of a show like this, is that it hinges on you wanting to know what is going to happen next, and I'm just lethargic about it, you know. I was mildly interested in some of the Mandalorian episodes, you know, these where he would go off on these sub-adventures, and I go, can you just get back to Grogu and what you're going to do with Grogu and all that? Where all these side missions. But WandaVision is different in that they're not going anywhere. There are no side missions. We've had an episode of bringing the boss home, an episode of a talent show, and he gets a piece of gum stuck in him, and then Wanda's pregnant and she's going to have babies. Then we go outside the dome. We get the agent from Ant-Man, which I think that guy's great. He was great on The Office. He is fantastic in the Marvel Universe. They need to give that guy his own show. He's really funny and really good at what he does. So deadpan. That guy's great. We get Kat Dennings' character from Thor back in the mix, and that's kind of annoying because she's portrayed as once again, she's the smartest person in the room. She's snarky. She has an answer for everything. She knows everything that's going on, basically. It's a little frustrating. It's just such an easy thing to do. What they do right is the episode where they explain Monica's backstory. We get to see what happens when somebody comes back from Thanos' snap, which I thought was really good. I watched that one twice because I actually really enjoyed the storytelling on that. She snaps back and she's supposed to be waiting on her mother. And then they'll tell her, your mother died 3 years ago. You've been gone 5 years. That's great. My question is, in the Marvel Universe, let's say you're married and we'll leave kids out of it. Let's say you're married and your wife gets vanished in the snap. So it's been 5 years, and we know that in in Endgame, we see people at a support group. How do we move on when they're gone? And the guy's like, I went on a date and I don't know. So you've lost your wife. It's been 5 years. So you wait a considered amount of time. You start dating. You meet a nice girl. You decide that you're going to get back in that saddle and date her. You fall in love. You have a quickie little ceremony marriage with the judge because, big weddings are out because it's just not tasteful. You have a new bride. She gets pregnant and your life is like, I finally got it. And then your wife comes back. That's the moral conundrum the blip sets up is, what do you do when the people come back after you've said goodbye? What do you do? They're never going to explore it, but man, that would make a great script. Imagine a movie where it's just a romantic comedy where it opens with a guy at a support group. I lost my wife. They never explain how she died. He's just at a support group for people who were dead. You lost your loved one, and he falls in love. You do that whole story, and then at the end, it's like you see the Marvel universe playing out on the televisions, but you're not told is it real or are they just watching a movie? I don't know. And then at the end of the movie, the wife comes back, and you're like, oh my God, this is a Marvel universe movie, romantic comedy, and this poor guy's wife is back. What do you do? Does the wife get mad? Because according to WandaVision, the snap and the blip coming back are instantaneous. It's Einstein. They hopped over those 5 years to instantly arrive at this moment in time. So no time passed for Monica. In an instant, her mom died, the world changed, and now they're all back. Like, it raises so many questions. And as a writer, it's fun to have that kind of thing in your story. But it also opens up a whole field of questions that at some point somebody has to answer, right? Even if it's just somebody sitting down. Like, did you ever get the box set of Lost where Henry the Balloon Man, is that his name, Henry? What was the guy in the balloon? It was one of my favorite characters. Him and Hurley go around to all the Dharma stations that are still operating around the world and shut them down and basically just explain the whole show. Well, the following things happen and now they're not happening anymore. I could see a Marvel Universe sort of do-over ending like that. Not even do-over, just wrap up. That would be great. And they can move on to whatever the next Doctor Doom, Mr. Sinister, whatever the next big villain is. But it does raise all those questions, and that sequence is great, where the people come back and it's just chaos. What if you were snapped out of existence? And we also know, according to the show, we know that the people who were brought back exactly where they were taken from. So, Spider-Man and Doctor Strange were on that other planet when they came back. The Guardians of the Galaxy were brought back at that other planet. That means that if you were driving a car and you were brought back from the blip, you'd be like floating in air for a second before you fell to the ground. Or what if there's a building where you blipped out and then the neighborhood changed and they put a building up, and when you were brought back, you're in the wall? I love questions like that. I mean, don't you? That's what we did on the playground as kids. What if? Oh my God, yes. They don't ever have to address it. But damn, it's fun to watch something like that and then think about. So, of course, my favorite episode of WandaVision was the 5th episode, which is I'm up to episode 5 right now. In that episode, they paid homage to Family Ties. The opening credits featured the painting and the photos. I mean, they had the house done up as much like the Keaton house as anything I've ever seen. It was stellar. Even the small details. In the kitchen set to the right, You could see the bulletin board on the kitchen island and the Kiss the Cook sign. Those are right off the set of Family Ties. The phone was on the wall. And my favorite joke in the whole show was the two twins have a dog, Sparky. And at one point they go, "Sit, Sparky, sit. Good dog," which is, that's what I grew up on. It's sit, Ubu, sit, good dog, the end of every episode of Family Ties. And I watched every episode start to finish. I taped them over and over and watched them over and over. The homages to Family Ties were stellar. There's a lot of 80s sitcoms they could have done. I mean, it's Disney who owns Channel 7. I'm sure they could have roped in Growing Pains and done Growing Pains or one of the other ABC shows. ABC did, Happy Day, that's 70s. Mork and Mindy went into the 80s. Perfect Strangers was ABC, but they chose Family Ties. Probably wanted to stay away from any Bill Cosby references. Because if you look back in the 80s, the Bill Cosby Show is the big sitcom. But Family Ties was always number 2. You know, it aired after the Cosby Show. The Cosby Show was on 8 to 8:30. Family Ties was 8:30 to 9. That's just the way it went. So they did a lot of really fun Family Ties references. And then, of course, at the very end of the episode, finally, 5 episodes in, something happened to explain a little, change a little, both. She opened the door, and there was Quicksilver, her brother, but not the one from Age of Ultron. No, the one from X-Men Days of Future Past. The other Quicksilver in the Marvel Universe now. Stellar. Great. I was hoping that when she opened the door, it was going to be Professor X, Patrick Stewart. But I'm a Star Trek nerd, so you can't blame me for wanting that. But having it be Quicksilver was great and very fitting, because then Kat Dennings goes, "Oh, she recast." I love that meta stuff. But man, they make you wait for these twists and turns and revelations. Wait. Now, I'm a married man, so I don't date. But the only analogy I can think of is if you were dating somebody just to have sex with them. So you just sit there at dinner, listening to them prattle on, and this is male or female, listening to them prattle on. Are we going to the bedroom yet? And that's me in WandaVision. Are you going to have something happen yet? Are you going to have something happen? That Wanda voice. "Oh, Vision, what are we going to do?" Some of it just makes I'm bored to tears. So when something does happen, you're like, "Oh, we're finally going to do something. Oh, good. Something's going to happen." I love the twist that they came up with at the end. I think it's great. I'm hoping that it's not just Wanda's vision of what's, her perfect world. That just seems so selfish, even though they have shown that she stole Vision's body out of the morgue and that she's in charge of this dome because she walked out of it and then walked back. She's not being held prisoner. But it would be a much better twist if instead of just Wanda controlling reality, that it was Professor X, because we've seen in the X-Men movies that he can bend reality. He can stop time or make it appear as though time has stopped. Professor X has huge powers of the mind. That's his whole gig. So I'm hoping that it's Patrick Stewart controlling all of this, or even Doctor Strange, something. And I'm also hoping that why they're doing it matters, and that it's not just to placate Wanda for losing Vision, because that would be it's not good enough. There has to be a reason. And if it's simply, hey, we wanted a fun way to bring the X-Men into the Marvel Universe, I'm all for that too. I think that would be great too, but something has to come of it. It has to be something of substance. The only other criticism I'll give of WandaVision is, I'll admit it, I like sometimes to pause the show to see how close we are to the end. I've gotten so good on Star Trek, I can pause and tell you what minute I'm on. I don't watch a clock during it. Instead, it's about plot point. Oh, this is where the big turn is, and there's 8 minutes left. Almost like clockwork. WandaVision doesn't allow you to do that because for some inexplicable reason, this show has 10 to 12 minutes of credits. 10 to 12 minutes. It's mind-numbing. And because I'm such a weirdo, I have to watch it all the way to the end because there might be something at the end. I sat through every movie in the 80s. I sat there till the credits ended in case something happened. Sometimes it paid off, like at the end of Adventure to Babysitting or the end of Ferris Bueller. But a lot of times it was just the lights came up and it was time to go. So you didn't get rewarded every time. But why does WandaVision have so many credits? Oh my God, it's as if an army worked on this show. I'll be tuning in for the last few episodes. I'm hoping that they come up with something that makes you want to watch it again like Watchmen did. The Watchmen miniseries I watched twice and enjoyed it more the second time. I can't imagine, and hey, as a guy who loves pop culture, I would be happy to eat these words, but I can't imagine any twist at all that would make me want to endure the first 3 episodes of this show again. As far as I'm concerned, it started on episode 4 because the first 3, man, I was bored out of my mind. I was checking my phone, which is a pop culture movie no-no. And yet there I was, like, just something wake me when something happens. Oh my God. So, okay, well, thanks for hanging out in my office, my recording studio. There's a lot more to talk about, right? There's so much going on in pop culture. I just watched a lot of old movies. I've been watching Star Trek Deep Space Nine and trying to catch up on some older movies. And then the newer movies. I alluded to this in the last episode. I watched a couple of movies, Midway and Angel Has Fallen. They were really cheap during Black Friday on Blu-ray. I think they were like $4, which, I mean, Midway is a movie that costs $100 million plus, and you can own it for $4. Midway was exciting storytelling. Angel Has Fallen was garbage. But here's the thing. You have to just be okay with the way these movies look because they don't look like any form of reality you've ever seen. The green screen stuff is so overdone and so processed that these movies look like live action cartoons. I know Midway, they might have had a couple of sets and the rest is green screen. When you watch the making of it, it's like these guys are acting, they're just doing mime work. Angel Has Fallen, the entire finale is them on a rooftop with a helicopter, and you're like, none of that looks even remotely real. Like, it looks so fake. It looks like a video game. So I'm of the opinion, like, these movies have to up their budget on effects or put more time into it and like really make them look good and amazing. And this half-ass stuff, like, it's good enough. It ain't anymore. On a TV at home, a Blu-ray, 4K, 5 million 2P or whatever they call it, you can see every pore, every edge, and these movies just don't look real. You can put in an older movie and know that some of the effects are dodgy on these older movies, but they get it passed because that's all they had back then, right? I don't care. You put it in. Look at Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's a movie. It's tangible. They're in the desert. They're doing all those things. Midway, for all its bravado filmmaking, is just a guy on a green box going, "We're going in. Everyone follow me." That's it. Weird, man. Midway, though, did give me a huge respect for our military that fought that battle of Midway, where they went out and bombed and then came back, refueled, and then went out and did it 3 times. I was in awe. When they showed all of the real people that the people were playing in the movie, I was floored. Amazing story. If you can get past the way Midway looks, and you know what? Like I said, it's darn exciting. You've got fighter planes and ships and explosions and people in the water and getting out of the water, and it's exciting. But it looks like cardboard. And then the opposite would be Dunkirk. Josie and I watched Dunkirk because Harry Styles is in it. I had never seen Dunkirk, Christopher Nolan film. Dunkirk, opposite. The effects are amazing. It looked like they were flying the planes. I couldn't tell the difference. Midway, total cardboard cartoon. Dunkirk, it looked like they were flying those planes and on those, and everything looked real. But here's the other thing. God, Dunkirk was so boring. The idea that they chopped the movie into 3 different time frames was confusing. It hurt your head. Like, I don't know where I'm at in the timeline. And it had no set pieces, no action. It was a straight, talky drama, which if that's the story, that's great. As an American kid, I was never taught the story of Dunkirk in school, so I admit I am completely illiterate on the topic. But if you're going by the Christopher Nolan movie, it wasn't a dynamic. I mean, and that's his fault, because there is a scene at the end where the guys look up, they're trying to be rescued from Dunkirk, and all of the civilian ships are coming to shore to get them, but there was no rallying of the troops. It goes from one guy and 2 young men to suddenly a whole armada of, there was no moment, and maybe that's the Michael Bay, way I've been fashioned, but there was no moment of them rushing on shore going, we got the men back. Why doesn't everybody go? Let's go to Dunkirk. Yeah. They didn't have any of that. It was so freaking anticlimactic as to be insulting to both the audience and the story that they were telling. So, man, I'm so glad I didn't see Dunkirk in the theater. I would have left probably would have fallen asleep, And I love Tom Hardy. He's great. He spends the whole movie with he talks like Bay in the whole movie. We're going in. Like, oh my God, it was tragically boring. And I'm pulling for Nolan, the guy's made some great movies. Tetris is not one of them. What's that movie called? Tenet? Tetris? Don't get me started again on that turd. But, boy, Dunkirk and then Tenet after that. Nolan's going to have to step up his game to get me back in the theater, because I won't make that mistake twice. It has to be something from a pre-established IP for me to want to care. So, but I'll just sit at home and watch movies all day in the 10 minutes of free time that I have. And then when I'm done watching them, I'll come out to my car. I'll park it in a dentist office parking lot, and I'll do a show live and direct from here on 91 Reasons. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Thanks for listening to 91 Reasons. Please subscribe and leave a review on iTunes. Find us on Facebook. Is anyone even still listening?
Hey! I'm getting a little tired of this.
You volunteered, didn't you? We're paying you, aren't we?
Yeah, but I didn't know you were going to be giving me electric shocks.